The hum of our modest Scandinavian town's Saturday supermarket was, as ever, a symphony of vehicular frustration. Parking, a mythical beast in those parts, remained stubbornly elusive. My wife Sarah and I had long since abandoned the futile dance of circling for a spot. My trusty Toyota RAV4, a vessel of calculated aggression, would instead claim a strategic vantage point poised to strike. When a space inevitably materialized, it was mine, often after a brief unspoken chicken race with a less assertive driver. While such encounters rarely endeared me to the vanquished, their usual response was a mere frustrated fist shaken in the air before they scurried off to find another parking purgatory. But as they say, there's a first time for everything. By the way, please like and subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. And that Saturday, the first time arrived with a vengeance. The defeated party, a man in a diminutive Fiat Panda, erupted from his vehicle. He stormed toward Sarah and me as we exited our car, his voice a bellow of pure indignation. "What the hell do you think you are?" he roared, his eyes blazing. "I can tell you're a damned humiliated husband who thinks he can alleviate his shame by assaulting people with your stupid car." With that venomous pronouncement, he spun on his heel and vanished into the vehicular chaos. I stood there, stunned. I didn't recognize him, but his words and the unsettling shift in Sarah's demeanor suggested a connection. Her face had paled, a visible discomfort etched upon it as he'd unleashed his tirade. "Who was that man?" I pressed, my voice a mix of confusion and disquiet. "How should I know?" she replied, her tone a touch too dismissive. "Obviously, he knew at least one of us," I countered, the unease gnawing at me. "I'm not so sure," she said, shrugging. "Such insults are common today." Perhaps, I thought, in the school where she taught, but not in my world. No one had ever dared to accuse me of being a humiliated husband before. Yet the man's fervent accusations, coupled with Sarah's palpable discomfort, echoed an old unsettling adage: "Where there's smoke, there's fire." A chilling certainty settled in my gut. I had a problem. But in that moment, with the supermarket beckoning, there was little I could do. We pushed the incident aside and continued our shopping. Sarah, my beautiful wife, is a 43-year-old school teacher. I, Robin Norman, am 46 and own a small construction company. Our lives are woven around our two children, Elliot, 20, a university student in our county capital, and Madeline, 18, currently an exchange student in Minnesota. Sarah and I met at a party, fell head over heels, and honoring her desire to be married before starting a family, tied the knot a year later. Our marriage, like most, has weathered its share of storms, but never anything truly serious. My construction company, a modest but successful enterprise, employs 3 men, with a female accountant handling part-time administrative duties from her home. We specialize in prefabricated wooden houses. Our calendar typically booked solid months in advance, and business is good. That Saturday evening, we had a birthday dinner for Sarah's mother. The supermarket incident remained an unspoken shadow, neither of us daring to revisit it. Yet I knew Sarah understood. The humiliated husband accusation, if it held any truth, demanded investigation. If she was truly guilty and if she intended to fight for our marriage, she would meticulously erase any lingering traces of her infidelity. If it was a long-past indiscretion, or if she decided to sever ties with her lover immediately, my chances of uncovering evidence would be a mission impossible. But if she was still entangled, still planning to continue her deceit, I was certain I'd uncover it sooner or later. Sunday arrived, and with it, Sarah's own unease surfaced. "Did you believe what that man shouted at the supermarket?" she asked, her voice tentative. "Do you really think I'm cheating on you?" "No," I replied, my voice steady. "I don't believe anything at all. but I want to be sure we're playing fair. So you don't trust me, do you? She shot back, a hint of accusation in her tone. I can't see any reason for you to cheat on me, I continued, ignoring her question. If you're fed up with me, if you prefer to find somebody better, just tell me. I want a divorce and you are a free woman. No problems getting rid of me if you're playing with open cards. But I will be mad as hell if I ever find out you're being unfaithful behind my back while we're married. I love you, only you, and don't see any reason to think about divorce. But can't you see how much you've overreacted because some angry lunatic insulted you? I really hope he was wrong, because I will never be a man to forgive a cheating wife. Later that Sunday, I met 3 friends for a soccer match. Afterward, over a beer at the pub, I recounted the angry man's bizarre outburst. If it's true, I said, a dry chuckle in my voice, that the cheated husband is always the last one in town to know, feel free to tell me if you know anything about Sarah. They all laughed, taking it as a good joke. One promised to ask his wife, and the other 2 vowed to do the same. The next day, my resolve hardened. I bought 3 voice-activated miniature electronic recorders. One found its hiding place in Sarah's car, another in the kitchen, and the third in the living room. If her lover wasn't from her school, she might call him from the car. The 2 in the house were for when the neighbor's wife, a notorious gossip, inevitably dropped by. Humiliated or not, I was now a hunting, humiliated husband. Sarah and I had always maintained a shared home economy. Her full-time teaching job meant shorter hours than my own, so she typically handled all our bills and household finances. I rarely bothered to look through her binders of receipts. I waited for her bowling night, then as soon as she left began my meticulous investigation. Our landline phone was in my name, so I'd already checked outgoing calls on my personal page at the telecom site. Nothing of interest there. But our credit card bills sparked my suspicion. Gasoline bills and all our children's card bills were present and accounted for. Yet the bank card bills for the past 2 months from our shared account were conspicuously absent. Sarah always printed a copy of the payment order when she paid bills online, and I could see they had been paid as usual. This was a clear indication something was amiss. Instead of confronting Sarah directly, I sent an email to the card company requesting copies of the missing bills. I prayed for an innocent explanation. Fortunately, my current job was only 7 kilometers from home, allowing me to make quick trips during my lunch breaks to check our mailbox before Sarah returned from school. Who knew what she might do if she found my copies and grew suspicious? After all, if she were guilty, she'd fight for her marriage. The next clue emerged from the recorder in Sarah's car. She often carpooled to bowling with a friend who lived nearby. On their way home, the friend asked, "How about Robin? Is he still accusing you?" "Not really," Sarah replied, her voice tinged with resignation. "But I'm sure he has serious doubts because he offered me a divorce on fair terms instead of cheating. Are you thinking about it?" "Of course not," Sarah retorted, a hint of indignation in her voice. "It's not on that level. I love my Robin and have no intention of dumping him. What would the children think about me if I divorced their father? Don't do anything stupid, by the way. Did you see the nice gold chain Anne got from her new lover boy?" Then they launched into a stream of gossip about Anne, utterly uninteresting to me. I listened to their conversation repeatedly. While no direct mention of cheating was made, I felt Sarah would have spoken very differently if she were truly innocent. She knew her friend knew something about her and clearly didn't want any more information spreading through town. It wasn't much of a clue, but as they say, many drops form a river. The following Saturday afternoon, a top match between 2 of the country's best soccer teams played out on the pub's big screen. My friends and I had money riding on the pool, so we had a vested interest. Two of my friends had nothing to report, but one mentioned his wife had consulted a friend of hers, a woman who seemed to know everything about our town. This informant had spoken of vague rumors about Sarah Norman at her school, but nothing concrete about the man involved. Another step forward, though still no real evidence. The accumulating circumstantial details, all pointing in the same direction, began to convince me that the angry man in the parking lot had been right. The relationship between Sarah and me had become polite but distant. Neither of us wanted an argument. The usual hugs, kisses, and even intimacy had vanished. It felt like waiting for a storm after receiving a dire warning. The voice recorders in the house yielded nothing of interest. Both the neighbor's wife and one of Sarah's best friends had visited, but their conversations were just typical woman talk, devoid of any mention of an affair. Then the copies of the missing bills arrived, and my mission took a quantum leap forward. On the oldest bill was a purchase from the alcohol store in the town next to ours. One thing was certain: I was in no way involved in or informed about that purchase. I had connections who brought me everything the family needed from abroad at prices far lower than the highly taxed goods at the state-owned monopoly stores. The amount surprised me. If it was meant as a gift for a lover, he was getting truly high-quality stuff. The other month's bill revealed a gas station and a hotel in a town about 40 kilometers from home. I was 100% certain Sarah hadn't been away overnight that month. It wasn't difficult to guess what that damn room had been used for. The cruel truth crashed down on me. I was a humiliated husband. Over the years, I'd witnessed humiliated husbands react in myriad ways. Some wept, accepting their fate. Others simply didn't care. A few even embraced the situation with a strange kind of zeal, and some real men I'd heard confronted the other man and expelled the cheating wife. My choices were stark, almost non-existent. If I wished to maintain my respect among employees, friends, relatives, and acquaintances, I had to find the guy and make him regret his actions. As long as I stayed on the right path, doing what was right, I'd receive all the support I needed. Accusing Sarah could wait. The first step was finding the man who had betrayed me. I trusted my employees implicitly. I laid out my predicament, and as I expected, all of them immediately offered their help. During an extra-long coffee break, we devised a simple plan. Our plan sprang into action just 2 days later when Sarah informed me she was invited to join a new lyrics group that evening. They intended to meet twice a month in small rooms at the public library or occasionally at a member's home. She even asked if it would be all right for one of their future meetings to be held at our house. Sarah sounded utterly trustworthy, so I, of course, expressed no objections. A satisfied look crossed her face as she thanked me for my understanding. Then I slipped into the bathroom and pressed the send button on my cell phone, dispatching a pre-written message to my employees. To my immense relief, none of them were busy that evening, and all three replied, "Ready for action." As planned, Sarah departed slightly before 6, promising to be back sometime between 9 and 10. A few minutes later, a Volvo V70 pulled up outside my house. I walked out and slid into the passenger seat, leaving my own car conspicuously visible in the driveway. The driver was Ronnie, one of my employees. Within a minute, his cell phone rang. He spoke only a few words. "Yes, yes, but keep your distance and be very discreet. Did you see the license plate?" "Yes, good." He then reported that Sarah had parked her red Opel Astra outside the library but remained in her car. A man in a black Saab 95 had picked her up. Ronnie relayed the license plate number, which I immediately sent via text message to the National Car Register. The automatic reply with the car owner's name arrived in seconds. To our surprise, it read, Linus Felixson. Thanks to his rather unusual name, we immediately knew who the betrayer was. He was a well-known figure in our town. a good-looking dentist in his early 40s with a reputation for excellent work at a high price. Nothing wrong with that. But he was also the chairman of the local football club, a position that earned him both hatred and admiration, particularly after hiring an unknown but expensive Brazilian player. He even chaired the local malt whiskey club, eliciting sour comments from those who believed sport and spirits were an unwelcome combination. I can't deny a flicker of surprise when I learned it was Felixson. I'd met his wife a few times at parent-teacher meetings at the school. She was a truly lovely, easygoing woman who even worked as his assistant at their dental clinic. Only minutes later, we received another call, this time from Eric. Sarah and Felixson, he reported, were on the main road, driving towards the town 40 kilometers away, the same town where Sarah had paid for that hotel room. Ronnie and I saw no reason to follow. We returned to my home, where I grabbed the spare key to Sarah's car and then headed to a cafe for coffee, awaiting news from Eric and Emil, who were tailing Felixson's car. When we received confirmation that Sarah and Felixson had indeed gone to a hotel, we held a quick phone conference with Eric and Emil. We agreed that the damn Felixson deserved a more severe punishment than simply disturbing them at the hotel. I asked Eric and Emil to return home, and they readily agreed when I told them what Ronnie and I intended to do with Sarah's car. While waiting for Eric and Emil, Ronnie and I returned to the library. I used the spare key to take Sarah's car and parked it at Ronnie's place. We waited for the other two to join us to make further plans. After several impractical suggestions, Ronnie delivered a brilliant idea, which we agreed to execute as soon as possible. After our meeting, I drove Sarah's car just outside of town, parking it just after the first bend, 20 meters into the narrow forest road that led to Felixson's picturesque farmhouse by a small lake 500 meters further down the road. I put the car in reverse, engaged the handbrake, retrieved the voice recorder, and locked the car, effectively blocking Felixson's way home. Emil picked me up there and drove me home. Back home, it was a torment to sit knowing that Felixson was with my lovely wife, the mother of my children, at that very moment. If I had known this was their first time, I might have had a good reason to intervene at the hotel and stop it. But now, since they had already crossed that line, we didn't want them to be too worried just yet. There were some nice surprises awaiting them. They would see the first one that very evening. While waiting for Sarah, I listened to the voice recorder from her car. It had captured a short call that evening. "Sarah, yes, I'm waiting at the library. Yes, soon." At about 9:30 that evening, Sarah burst into the house screaming, "My car is stolen." "From where?" I asked, feigning surprise. "The library? Did you call the police? Tomorrow we'll have to report it to the insurance company." "Yes, I did. They came to the parking lot. Everything's clear with them." "Did the police bring you home?" I pressed. She hesitated for a second before replying, sensing, I'm sure, that I might have seen the Black Saab 95. "No, it was one man from the lyric circle who—" "A dentist whose name is Felixson? Linus Felixson, that damn disgusting womanizer who is famous for being with the cheapest women, even though he's married to a very lovely, handsome wife. Is that creep really interested in lyrics, or is he there only for his pursuit of women?" "Be careful with that creep," I replied, my voice laced with venom. Sarah didn't look happy, not at all. My caustic comments about Felixson certainly didn't cheer her up. But before she could formulate a reply, her cell phone began to ring. I caught her by surprise, snatching the phone from her hand as she pulled it from her purse. "Norman," I stated into the receiver. "I want to speak to Sarah. It's important," a male voice said. "I'd like to know who you are and what's so important." "It's about her stolen car," he replied. Sarah had turned ashen gray, fearing the worst. Suspecting the caller was Felixson asking for her, Of course, I knew it was Felixson, but I wanted him to understand that if he wanted Sarah's car moved from blocking his road, he had to cooperate with me. Okay, Charlie, that sounds interesting, but you forgot to tell me who the hell you are. When you've done that, we can begin talking about the car. Are you the damn thief? My name is Linus Felixson, and I have never stolen anything in my life. I knew he hated the nickname Felix, used because of a stupid cat in comic strips and animated films with that name. Stolen or cheated, he had betrayed me with my wife that very evening, so I continued, Okay, Felix, let's talk about the car. He swallowed the humiliation. It's parked on the road to my house and blocking the road. How do you know it's Sarah's car? There are many red Astras in this town. Opel Astra is a popular small GM car. Have you called the police and told them you found the car? Sarah looked as if she was about to vomit from the tension, and I began to fear she would confess, which didn't fit our plans. Clearly, it was time to calm down a bit. It may sound weird to you, I said to Felixson, but I promised Sarah to search for her car in a few places after taking her home. No, I haven't called the police because I wanted to talk to Sarah first. That sounded reasonable. I'm Sarah's husband, I replied. I'll handle this matter from now on. Just stay where you are and give me your number so I can call you back after I've talked with the police. He gave me his cell phone number. I checked Sarah's phone for it, but she hadn't dared to store it. I never asked him how he knew Sarah's number, as that information is easily available online. The look of fear or remorse remained etched on Sarah's face when I told her, It was the unpleasant Felixson. He has found your car on the road to his house. For some reason, she didn't look much happier at the news that Felixson had found her stolen car. I didn't call the police because they might be curious as to why the car was left locked and without any visible damage after the theft. Of course, I would have preferred to have Felixson's road blocked for a much longer time with her car, but hopefully he was already having some very bad feelings about it. I asked Sarah if she knew where Felixson lived. A shadow of suspicion flickered across her face, a brief, telling hesitation before the hard, undeniable no. My call to Felix, through Sarah's own phone, was met not with affection but a guarded distance. He knew, yet he gave me his location, a thread of hope in this tangled web. Upon arrival, Sarah declared her intention to take her car and leave, but I was beyond allowing those two to whisper sweet nothings. No need, I insisted. Just take my car home. I have matters to discuss with Felix and some crucial photos for the police. Felix feigned ignorance, claiming no clue as to why the car thief had chosen his street for Sarah's vehicle. After a theatrical inspection and a few clicks of the camera, I drove away in Sarah's car. 10 seconds later, her phone chimed. Robin? It was Felix, surprise coloring his voice. Did you call the police? Yes, of course, I calmly replied, though it was a fabrication born of necessity. The police, when I finally contacted them, were furious. My actions had, in their eyes, obliterated any potential clues, and with a frustrated sigh, they closed the case. The next morning, my employees roared with laughter as I recounted the dramatic resolution to Sarah and Felix's automotive woes. Sarah, however, was less amused. When we met at home after work, her mood was as dark as a storm cloud. She had undoubtedly spoken with Felix throughout the day. The truth, stark and undeniable, must have settled upon them. The car's relocation was a damning testament to their illicit affair. At precisely 9 a.m. on the first Monday following Sarah's lyric circle charade, Ronnie, ever the watchful eye, spotted Felix's black Saab at the town square, parked prominently outside his clinic. A quick call to the clinic, and when Mrs. Felix answered, Ronnie simply offered a terse, "Sorry, wrong number." The stage was set. Eric remained at the job site, maintaining a semblance of normalcy, a silent sentinel. The three of us, Ronnie, Emil, and I, departed in Ronnie's silver V70. Emil was strategically dropped at the crossroads leading to Felix's house, where he melted into the forest, a hidden sentinel. Ronnie and I concealed the V70 on a secluded road, then traversed the final 500 meters to Felix's sanctuary. Our backpacks, laden with three 1.5-liter Fanta bottles filled with pig urine and a selection of tools, felt surprisingly light. To our immense satisfaction, no alarm system stood guard. Entry was effortless, a mere whisper in the night, leaving no visible trace, thanks to our thin neoprene gloves. Our first stop, the master bedroom. We quickly identified his side of the opulent bed, lifted the comforter, and unleashed a torrent of pig urine onto the pristine sheets. Our own contributions would have been preferable, but the risk of DNA evidence was too great. Next, his well-stocked bar, brimming with expensive malt whiskeys. On a nearby table, a decanter and two crystal glasses beckoned. We emptied the precious liquid into a plastic bucket from the kitchen, replacing it with the golden, pungent substitute. The whiskey operation proved time-consuming, a painstaking replacement of every drop with its porcine counterpart. But the effort was worth it. Felixson deserved a truly memorable punishment for his treachery. Our grand finale unfolded in his home office. Ronnie, a master of dark ingenuity, had fashioned a special cord, channeling 220 volts into the laptop's USB port. A sickening smell of burnt plastic filled the air before the fuse blew, plunging the office into darkness. No hidden CDs or DVDs, only a single USB memory stick tucked away in a drawer which I promptly pocketed. Then we vanished, leaving his once happy home now hopefully a source of profound discomfort. Back at the job site, a sense of lightness began to replace the suffocating weight of betrayal. For the first time since the shattering revelation of my wife's infidelity, a flicker of genuine cheer ignited within me. My employees, bless their hearts, did their utmost to fuel this newfound lightness, their amused whispers about that guy sipping pig urine from crystal glasses echoing in the air. Ronnie, ever diligent, confirmed Felix's presence at his clinic the next morning. But a sleepless night in a urine-soaked bed was a certainty. He would understand now. He was a target. And the chilling thought of what might come next, a fear of escalation, would surely begin to fester. Calling the police for a urine-drenched bed and tampered whiskey was unthinkable. He knew the local paper would feast on such a story, making him a laughingstock. He was left to sweat, while the next act of vengeance was already taking shape in my mind. Even I, however, felt a cold dread as I delved into the contents of the USB memory stick. It held a chilling collection of cell phone photographs. Many were irrelevant, but several depicted Sarah. Some showed her stripping, others completely naked, and some in utterly compromising positions. One image in particular was exquisitely clear. Sarah, fully exposed, staring directly into the camera. The crucial detail, the time and date, revealing it was taken during her lyric circle evening. I burned it onto a CD, gave it to Ronnie, and instructed him to send me a copy anonymously. As anticipated, Sarah claimed her lyric circle was canceled the following week, citing a lack of interest, a transparent lie. The next act unfolded as Felixson returned from a late board meeting at the local football club. According to his wife's account, which he shared with both the police and the local newspaper, his journey was abruptly halted 100 meters into the forest road. A plastic cone emblazoned with "Warning, Accident," and a flashing red light blocked his path. The moment he stopped, his car door was ripped open. Two figures in black overalls and ski masks dragged him out. On the road, he was brutally beaten, his right arm shattered. This time, his wife called both the police and an ambulance. The two officers who visited him in the hospital the next morning gleaned nothing from a terrified Felixson. The local newspaper reported it as a disagreement about sport gone too far. To my surprise, the police never questioned me about Felixson. It wouldn't have helped them anyway. That evening, I had been home with Sarah and her sister discussing their mother's birthday. However, assault on a public road is a grave offense. If Mrs. Felixson, after my inevitable revelation, decided to expose her husband's affair, I was certain to receive a visit. But if she believed he deserved this retribution, she would likely remain silent, consigning the case to the ever-growing pile of unsolved mysteries. Sarah, visibly distressed, simmered in a foul mood for days after reading about Felix's plight in the morning paper. I let the silence hang between us, then took a day off to attend to necessary matters in town. Sarah's surprise was palpable when she returned from school slightly after 3 to find me casually dressed at home. Coffee already brewed, I motioned her to the living room. "We need to talk," I stated. As soon as she settled, I cut to the chase. 2 credit card bills are missing from the binder. Why? Her voice was laced with defensiveness. "They're incorrect. I've complained." "Why didn't you tell me about such a serious problem?" I pressed. I expected to resolve it without issues. I produced copies of the bills, handing them to her. "Please tell me what's wrong with them." A blush crept across her face as she scanned the documents. "There's something from an alcohol store, a gas station, and a hotel, but you never even asked me before you complained to the bank. You know almost everyone there. Who did you complain to?" "No," she retorted, her voice rising. "And why in hell this cross-examination about these damn bills?" "Because I want the truth," I countered, my gaze unwavering. "Remember, there are cameras at the gas station and the hotel clerk might recognize you." "That's impossible. I've never been there. You know that," she shrieked. "I'm sorry, Sarah, truly sorry," I said, my voice softening. "But I regret to say I know for certain that you and Linus Felixson spent a couple of hours at that very hotel. I moved your car from the library parking area to block his road. May I presume your lyrics reading was hardly that?" I produced one of Felix's compromising photos of her. "I received this anonymously yesterday. Please note the date and time." Her face turned ashen, the color draining from her cheeks. "Oh my God, oh no," she whispered. "Therefore," I continued, "it's not difficult to guess that you bought an expensive malt whiskey as a gift for him. Did you make him extra happy by telling him I was paying half of that damn bottle?" Now she was sobbing, a broken, desperate sound. "No, no, no, it's not what you think. No, 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 it's much worse. The cruel truth is, the angry man who lost the chicken race at the parking lot was bloody right. Today I know for sure that I am a damned, humiliated husband." I handed her the divorce papers. "I've put the house on sale," I stated, my voice devoid of emotion. "From now on, you'll sleep in the spare bedroom until you find somewhere else to go." Sarah's sobs escalated into hysterical cries as I walked into the kitchen and dialed Mrs. Felixson. To my immense satisfaction, she still remembered me from the school committee. Her voice, however, held little warmth as I informed her that just minutes earlier my wife had confessed to her affair with Mr. Felixson. She demanded to know my intentions. When she learned my divorce was already filed and the house was for sale, a fierce shout erupted from the phone. "Damn it, I'll do the same." The next day, Mrs. Felixson did something truly unexpected. She marched into the school where Sarah worked, arriving as a group of teachers gathered in the staff lounge. She asked for Sarah, strode directly to her, and delivered a resounding slap across Sarah's face, her voice ringing out, "You cheap woman! You betrayed me with my husband." Sarah reeled from a second, equally hard backhand before her stunned colleagues intervened, pulling Mrs. Felixson away. Felix never reopened his dental clinic in our town. Within weeks of his hospital discharge, he sold it and vanished. He and his wife sold their house, and his now ex-wife remained there until the new owners arrived. Sarah, for her part, launched a desperate campaign to win back my forgiveness. She spun the familiar tale of being my only love, that her affair with Felixson was a fleeting quest for excitement, even claiming it was meant to spice up our own love life. She swore to be the perfect, faithful wife, denying me nothing. Even our children pleaded for her. But the affair was far more than a fleeting fling, and the images of her with him were seared into my mind. I could not forgive. We sold the house, divided everything equally, and went our separate ways, each renting an apartment, a first tentative step into new, uncharted lives. I neither know nor care if the rumors are true, but whispers persist that Felixson cursed the day he met Sarah, refusing any further contact after the devastating events that became his grim destiny. Sarah, consumed by pride, abandoned her attempts to date him after the divorce papers were filed. She, like so many others, learned a harsh truth. Cheating, while perhaps an exciting game, rarely yields anything of true value. The divorce hit me hard, truly terribly hard. My friends, witnessing my despair, held a long, serious intervention. Their simple advice: Sarah is a lovely woman, but she's not the only fish in the pond. You need to go fishing. Ronnie, my resident computer savant, offered a modern twist. New times, new habits. Your fishing waters aren't limited to the local bar anymore. Thanks to the web, you have the whole country, all of Scandinavia, even the entire EU, and if that's not enough, the whole world. It was a challenge even for him, but he helped me craft an advertisement for what he declared was the most popular dating site. The ad, clearly well written, generated a deluge of replies. Many were amusing, but few led anywhere. The first woman I called had endless questions about my income, almost none about me. The second suggested a 2-week trip to South Africa, at my expense, to see wild animals. The third confessed her picture was of her younger sister, promising I wouldn't notice the difference. Ronnie's ad was a triumph for quantity, less so for quality in finding a serious relationship. I was on the verge of abandoning online dating when Linda's ad caught my eye. Newly separated from a cheating husband, it read, seeking someone with similar experiences to help each other heal. I penned a lengthy reply with little hope of a response. Then, one evening, she called. She was easygoing and, to my delight, lived only 40 kilometers away, in the same town where Sarah and Felixson had met at that hotel. After several phone conversations, we decided to meet for lunch in her hometown. It was wonderful. Our next meeting at a cafe in the county capital mall included her 17-year-old daughter, Jennifer, and my son, Elliot, a student in that town. For them, online dating was no sensation, perhaps even a little humorous that their divorced parents were doing it. "Hi, sis." "Hi, big brother." The youngsters clearly made a good first impression. Elliot, ever helpful, offered to bring his girlfriend who knew all the best shops to assist Jennifer with clothes shopping. They vanished, leaving Linda and me. We eventually embarked on our own shopping expedition. Though I usually abhorred it, we had a delightful time, punctuated by laughter until we both found what we wanted. When the teenagers returned, Jennifer was radiant. Anna, Elliot's girlfriend, had helped her find exactly what she wanted. Jennifer then informed me that her mom liked me, so it was okay if I became her boyfriend. Elliot echoed the sentiment to Linda. The following weekend, Jennifer spent with her father, and Linda invited me to her house. I arrived Friday evening bearing wine and flowers. Linda cooked a wonderful dinner. After our romantic meal, we shared tender moments in her living room before retreating to the bedroom. I knew this was a moment of truth. If I failed to be what she desired, winning her true love would be a much harder battle. I chose tenderness over intensity, a decision that proved undeniably right. Linda experienced profound satisfaction multiple times that night. In the morning, her words were a balm. She was incredibly happy she'd met me, deeply in love. The night had exceeded even my expectations. My heart, already warmed by her, responded in kind. I love you, Linda. Of course, if I had the power to dictate my future, my first choice would have been to continue a happy marriage with Sarah, but she extinguished that possibility. I still don't truly understand how or why her affair with Felixson began. All I know is how it ended. The angry man who screamed humiliated husband at me in the parking lot, I've never seen him since. My only guess is he knew Sarah somehow. Today, Sarah has left our town, taking a teaching job in the county capital. She lives with an accountant I've never met, but Elliot says he seems okay, a sentiment Anna agrees with. Linda and I, though deeply in love, understand that building a lasting relationship and new marriage with two middle-aged, divorced individuals will demand compromise. But we know with absolute certainty that we can and will make it work. Ladies and gentlemen, since you've listened to the end of this story, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which state you're watching from. Let's see what percentage of elite viewers make it to the end. And please, kindly turn your attention to the screen after this message. There you'll find a full playlist of thrilling stories, a subscribe button for the channel, and our most captivating story. Click, enjoy, and thank you.